Hello, beautiful souls. Happy Friday. Today, I wanted to talk about my first oneness experience and how that has impacted where I am and how I'm coping with what's happening in the world today. I'm having a slightly different experience than quite a few people on the planet. And it's partly because I've been on my own spiritual journey for many, many years and was aware that this moment was coming, that this incredible moment of change was on its way. So I've had a lot of time to prepare um, in all different ways, but mostly mentally, and dealt with the fear and dealt with the concern and the trepidation, all of the things that everybody's feeling at the moment. My awakening or my awareness of oneness, my experience of being one with all there is, or one with source, or one with God, happened around 20 years ago. And there was something that I wanted to achieve, I wanted to experience at that particular point in time. And it didn't happen. And I found out that it had taken place without me, this event, this experience. And I went straight into an incredibly distressed emotionally place. So much so that not only did I not want to really be alive, I wanted to wink out of existence, that to have never been created in a way. That was how intense this grief was, this disappointment and distress was. Now, I was very seriously on this path for all of the time that I was in the United States. And I would do meditate every day. I would do breath work every day. I would do a whole bunch of different disciplines as a part of the evolutionary path, the path to awakening. Part of what I also was doing at this stage was using the power of my mind and creation to create what I wanted within my life. And so I was focusing upon things like simple physical things like creating a home, creating financial independence, things like this. So I was fairly very, very serious about my commitment to these disciplines, to these practices. So when this thing happened without me, when I was unable to be included in this situation, as I said, it was just almost too much to bear. And what it did was push me to a point in my brain. I'm guessing that's what it is, to a different part of my brain, where I moved out of the neocortex, the wanting and the needing, and into a place of oneness, a place where it didn't matter. I knew in that oneness experience that I was all things. I knew that I was the past and I was the future. I was every dimension possible, and that this was just one now. And it didn't matter. I couldn't give two hoots about this, about what I wanted, about what I was striving for, about evolving, even ascending. None of that mattered. I was just in bliss. I went outside and I looked up at the stars, and everything was 1,000% perfect. And I floated along like that for about 24 hours when I came on out of that amazing place. And I'll tell you in a moment what actually happened. When this also is going to be a video about manifestation, about creating what you want, and how what I experience then is having an influence on how I go to create, and how do I cope day to day with what's happening in the world. When we're in our day-to-day life, we're in, I suppose, beta frequency, beta wave in our brain. We're in our neocortex, we're in the image or the ego or monkey mind mostly. And we're wanting this and we need that, or we wonder what would happen in this relationship, or we want this relationship to work differently. And we have all of these thoughts about the world and about what's happening in the world and in our lives. So this is the main place that we live in. Now, when I have talked about the observer previously, there are almost, from my perspective, and this is just how I perceive it, 3 places within you, 3 states of being generally. And so this day-to-day thinking, looking, wishing, wanting, needing, hoping, etc., is the main place we hang out in. Now, if you were to take a step back metaphorically and become the observer and start to observe the thoughts and needs and wants as they come. So the observer is the key or the doorway to your higher self. It's the doorway to being one with source, to being all there is. So your first step or your interim step is to become the observer, and you step back and you watch the thoughts flow in and out. You watch your reactions to things. You're curious and interested in the process that you've chosen to experience. And you see all of these back and forth and things that pull us around. Now, if you take one step back again, you begin to observe your thoughts, but they seem even further away. They are like clouds. They are misty. They're there, but you were even more sort of interested and curious and somewhat detached about it. It's just what's going on. Now, how do you find that that third step back? What does that feel like? So the best way I can describe it is, if you are sitting with your eyes closed and you are looking sort of into the darkness behind your lids, the eyelids, and you in a way are looking into forever. You don't know from that moment of having your eyes closed where that place ends. It does literally go into forever. So then in your mind's eye, if you turn and look what you think would be your left, and you look out into forever. And then you turn behind you in your mind's eye and again look out into forever. Then to your right, then up and then down. So you feel and perceive forever. Now what you do is you stretch out with your feelings. You stretch out with your energy. Just like I think it's Obi-Wan says to Luke to stretch out with your feelings. I can't remember the exact phrase, but I think that's what he's saying. So when you expand your energy out and you become that oneness, that forever, that's the closest that I can sort of describe what it was that I went through that night. Now, what happens is in that third step back, or that second step back into the third place, you tend to become somewhat detached about what it is you actually want, that really detached to what it is you want to create. Because in this place, you are it, you are everything already. And you have the knowledge of what it is to have that experience already in your system. So there's no need or want about having that experience. So what you do is when you step back in here and you've stretched out with your feelings, you can do a couple of different things to increase your frequency. So if you can just become the highest frequency you can imagine, gamma, X-ray, whatever it is. Whatever that frequency wave is, just become it. And it will increase your energy, your frequency. The other thing you can do is you can imagine a stairway in your mind. And you are going to step up higher and higher and higher in frequency until it's sort of like there's a machine going. Now, another good visual is from the movie Contact. And the machine that she uses to go to the other side of the universe is two rings that go in opposite directions. So we actually have two bands of energy around our body. And generally, when we're in that first place, watching, being involved in all the thoughts, the bands are going together in the same direction. The two pieces of that machine are just doing the same, going the same way. But when you start to become one with the void, when you stretch out, and what happens is you can see and imagine them starting to go in different directions. So the one inner band stays the same. Oh no, the inner band goes the other way and the outer band flips and goes the way it was going. So they're actually going in opposite directions. The other way you can imagine this is with the Merkaba, and that is the two pyramids. One pyramid is facing downwards and the second pyramid is facing up. And you just see them spinning in different directions. So this raises your energy. This brings you closer to source energy's frequency, and thus you become a more potent creator. Because what you are doing is, when, say, for example, you're creating the healing center that you want to create, say you wish to create a healing center. When you are in your mind's eye and you have increased your frequency, however you perceive that, you are closer to point zero. You're closer to source. And when you are walking through the healing center, you might feel somewhat detached because there is no need or want, because it is already you. It is already in existence. So what you feel as you're walking through the healing center is peace, knowingness, and acceptance and rightness. So as you're walking through, and you can feel your feet crunch on the pebbles as you're walking towards the front steps into the structure. And then as you turn the door handle, you feel the door handle. As you walk in, you can smell the wood of the floor. So you are at peace with a truth. You are at peace, at one with a frequency, because ultimately the structure of the healing center has your quantum signature. It has your frequency. So you, as you are being it, you are pulling that reality, that structure, down through the frequencies to appear in this reality. You are setting up that rubber band between you and it, so that you will walk into it as a truth on this reality. So be one with it. It is done. And when you accept that, when you're in this back part of that, you've stepped back once and you've stepped back twice, you are accepting of it. You don't, all of the thoughts that you really have about it that are related to your 3D self are way here and sort of misty and cloudy. And so you can be detached and have fun with this creation in your mind's eye. Estu sta kumbokochetsa. Ize testu uste gikambache sietusta. Ezeki kumba atietusta. Ize ke kumba atesti ujuriete kamia kakambatsi tesietu. Ezukuke achietsa. Azike kumba ati ezotusta. So that experience of oneness is helping me today to navigate where we are. Estu sakumbujetsa ezo stuyo shushitsama okie. Eziti se sasienda kamietsa. Ezo tushta akienda akamakike. So have a go with this, have some fun with it. If you've got any questions, if I haven't made everything really clear, pop some questions beneath. I'm happy to answer them. And how did that experience of oneness end that particular time? I couldn't accept it. I couldn't allow it to be as profound and beautiful and wonderful without getting somebody else's approval or confirmation. So about 24 hours after I moved into this state, I drove to a friend's place and I was floating when I walked in. And I tried to explain to her the profoundness of what I was experiencing. And she couldn't understand it. And she just brushed it off and didn't react the way that I thought she should and needed her to. And I just, in that moment, came crashing back down. So there's a word of caution. When you are creating these things, when you are having these experiences, be careful who you share it with. Look at why you need to share it with somebody. What is your motivation behind doing it? So blessings to everybody. Happy New Year. I did a reading today with Campbell for the new year. So keep an eye out for that. And it looks like we're in for a very interesting 3 months of the first 3 months of this year. Bye, everybody.